Hey, g'day guys. Look, today I want to talk about something that we haven't really spoken about too much, and that is fish food storage. Now, it's pretty critical for the health of your fish that you can appropriately store your fish food. So to look after these guys behind me, these perch that you can see here, I'm going to take you through some of my top tips to store your fish food, and I'll show you some of the problems that I've faced as well with fungus and bacteria getting into my food. Let me ask you a simple question. If you knew that you had a bowl of chips, potato chips, sitting in the lounge room on the table, they've been sitting there a couple of days, heaps of people put their hands in there, and more than that, you might have spilled a bit of tea, coffee, there's a bit of water spilled in there, a little bit of fungus and bacteria is growing in there, would you eat it? That's my question to you. I'm sure you wouldn't. I'm sure you wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't as well. But how often do we think about our own fish and the food that we're feeding our fish? Because it's quite important. At the end of the day, if you're doing aquaponics like I am, unfortunately most people just wouldn't give a second thought to feeding their prized fish unhealthy fish food. It just doesn't cross people's minds, unfortunately, that mold can get into your food, and it does, it frequently does, especially where I'm living up here. But what about the age of the food as well? A lot of us open up a bag of fish food, it's sitting a month, it might be sitting 2 months, but is that food really still good for your fish? Is it still high in nutrition? Does it still hold the same value, nutritional value for your fish? It doesn't. Just like human food, if fish food is exposed to the air, container lids are off, you know, any number of things can happen. It can get bacteria, it can get moldy, water can get in there, but at the end of the day, we can cause food poisoning to our fish, and we don't want that. At best, our fish food might lose flavor, it might become a little stale, lose flavor, and you might notice once you feed your fish that they will just maybe not eat it as rapidly as they normally would. And that's when the first sign that you know that there's a problem there. Even if the fish do eat the food, over time they lose their nutrients, they lose their vitamins, and the quality is just not there for your fish. Look, I know my habits of my fish, and I know that you, if you're anything like me, you know if your fish are eating well, they'll be chomping at the bit, they'll be coming up to the water surface and smashing it. I've got barramundi and I've got perch, and I hear this chomping sound of sucking of the water from the barramundi every single morning. So I know if I don't hear any chomping, then I know I've got a problem. But if you've got smaller fish, then you'll still understand how your fish feed each day. Now, non-fish people won't understand that, but I know you will. So just observe your fish. If there's an issue with the way your fish are feeding, then there could be a fish food issue. Here's a few tips that I think you might find useful. The first number one tip is buy foods that are already well packaged. So there's no holes in it, there's no leaks, there's no issues, no rat holes, nothing's been chewing in there and the air hasn't got in there. So if you make sure that you do that, that's going to get you well and truly on the way. It'll be fresh and it'll be high quality. Also, check the expired date. Make sure that the fish food actually has an expiration date or an expired date or a purchase date, so you can actually see how long it's actually been made, it's been on the shelf. So the shelf life is really important as well. Look, don't buy more food than you can actually use in a month or two. A lot of fish hobbyists, aquaponic gardeners, they stock up. They stock up because the price might be cheap. Well, what's going to happen over time is your fish food will lose nutritional value over time. So stocking up and getting the bargain right at the front may not be a long-term solution if you're going to keep it for 6 months or a year, because that nutritional quality is just going to diminish. And if you do buy big bags of feed like this 25 kilo bag like I do, then make sure you use it up as fast as you can, or separate it all out. You can see those containers that I've got up on the shelf. I just use these milk containers and I just put it all in here so that I've got 3 litres container at any time of fish food that I can just grab off the shelf and just feed my fish. It's stored well in this environment, and it keeps, and rain can't get in. Also keep it now in the shed as well after all my experiences of fungus, which I'll show you shortly. So by putting it in smaller containers or even juice bottles or anything like that, you're going to make sure that nothing gets in here. It's safe from rats and dust, and moisture is the number one thing. But it's really good to keep it out of the rats as well, because I have a lot of rat issues, and by doing this the rats just don't go through, but they do get into the big bags. Of course, if you use a funnel, it'll be so much quicker and easier. But in this case, the food's only staying inside the container, so inside the barrel, so it doesn't really matter. Pretty quick and easy. There we go. You've just got to store your food properly. Storing it in an airtight container like this is very simple to just keep the nutritional quality of your food. The worst thing you can do is to have it exposed outside somewhere, and water will get in, moisture will get in, the heat, the humidity, it all gets in there, and it's the worst thing you can do. Massive rains up here in far north Queensland. In Cairns, it's just been pouring and pouring and pouring, cyclonic conditions, and it's pretty calm at the moment, but overcast all the same. But look, just in regards to fish food, just wanted to show you, I've got little fingerlings and I've got fish food there, but you can see that giant lump of gunk really, and let me just pull it out. Now that's just a giant ball of fish food, but if you look closely, it's got fungus all over it because water has got in, a couple of drops of water in my fish food container here, and look, it's nasty stuff. Underneath that top layer you can see the fungus. So if you feed that fungus to your fish, there we go. If you feed that fungus to your fish, they're not going to like it. So let's give them the best food possible. That's just a giant fungus ball. If I break that, what are we going to do here? If I break that in half, actually it's pretty tough. I'm trying to break it up, and you can see inside, my goodness, it's just absolute pure fungus. So it actually stinks too. I'm kind of breathing it in, which is not good, but just look at it falling apart. So if you were to throw that ball of fish food into your aquaponic system, look, your fish would just get pretty sick potentially, and potentially die as well. Now I've got little fingerlings here, look after my little babies, and I'm not going to feed them that rubbish. But you can see, if I'm squeezing it, you can see all the spores, fungus spores just coming out. Let's not give that to the fish or anything. I'll throw it away. Hopefully my dog won't eat it as well. I'll throw it in the garden. But look, just make sure your fish food container doesn't contain any of that. If I give it a good shake, I can see little bits and pieces in there. In fact, you can see a few lumps. So it's important to get those little lumpy bits out. Oh, look at that. I just sieved a few more out of there. And if I was to break that up, again, same problem. So we get rid of that. You can see little bits of fungus. Now look, a tiny little bit in a fish tank's not going to matter, but if you keep doing it, they will die. So let's get serious, guys. Let's not let water get into our fish food containers. Store it in a watertight container, and hopefully you'll have better luck than me. Now I'm using an ice cream container here. You'd think it's waterproof, but it's not. Milk containers have a screw top lid. Just so much safer, so much easier, and yeah, I just don't want to give any bad food to my fish again. And if you like this video, I'd appreciate if you just hit that like button, and that'll show YouTube that I'm serious and I mean business. And I think you're going to love this video next, and stay with me, enjoy, catch you later.